Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Nicole West, the founder and CEO of New Perspective Consulting, a firm dedicated to improving organizations of all sizes. From small problem-solving sessions to large-scale lean management transformations, they believe in finding solutions that make your goals a reality. Nicole and her team are prepared to help you at any level, from impartial advice to practical assistance, to help you make the most of every opportunity. And with 10 years of process improvement experience and over $4.5 million worth of savings identified, they thrive on sharing their expertise and perspective to help you make a success of your business. Nicole, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you so much for having me. That was quite an intro. I appreciate it.
Anytime. I am excited to dive in. I
Yes,
always
me too.
like to start from the beginning. So take us on a little trip down memory lane to before you started New Perspective Consulting. What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Yeah, so that is an interesting journey that I've had. So I actually went to college for entrepreneurship and finance. So
Mm,
I had always wanted to start my own business. I went to Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. So they had the co-op program. And
okay.
it was just a natural fit to do the co-op program within the finance world. And I found myself just, I don't know, automatically falling into the corporate world because of that. I got a job out of college through my internship and just started going down the road of corporate America. And I always had in the back of my head, I wanted to start my own business, but I never knew when the right time was to pivot.
Yeah.
In my first organization, I learned a lot about the organization's own lean management practices and principles, got really involved in it, started taking a direction from finance towards that process improvement world, that internal consulting, was recruited over to another organization to do internal consulting. And through that, started to see some opportunities to take that service model and expand it outward to other clients, other affiliates. And then COVID happened. And I just so happened to have a baby before COVID. So I came back from maternity leave to a fully remote workplace. And in doing that, it was almost like the light bulb went off for me. And I was like, wait a second, I'm doing this for an internal consultant job. I could do this for myself, for external clients, and bring this and not really have the red tape that I was running into in trying to expand my internal organization external. So I started testing it in 2021, just doing some feasibility studies just to see, can I get projects? What does that look like? What would I charge? And then in 2022, I just decided to jump all in. And
Nice.
the rest is history. I've been doing it since March of 22 full time, growing with different clients, and have really enjoyed the journey.
I love that.
Always had that inkling in the back of my head. And then I really think it was combination of COVID and motherhood that was like, let's make this happen.
Yeah, I love that. It's actually very unique to a lot of the guests that I've had on recently because a lot of them stumbled into it by accident. They saw a problem and they're like, okay, I could just create a solution for this and then start my own thing and have more freedom. When not more freedom, because obviously as a business owner you actually work more, but
Yes.
they have more autonomy. Walk me through for you, why was it always an inclination? Were you the classic story lemonade stand when you were a kid, selling stuff at garage sales? What does that look like?
Yeah, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So I had a lot of exposure to that. So definitely the lemonade stands and just following my dad along in his work day and just watching him build his business was like, okay, I think I could do something like this. And I loved the freedom in my mind as a young child that it gave him. Like he was in control, he got to pick his hours, so on and so forth. And so it was always just something that I naturally gravitated to. And I also had a lot of leadership positions in school. So I was always student council and just driving in the leadership world and just really liked that and really thought I would start something right out of college. But it's much easier said than done in some cases. So I'm glad that I had that 10 years of corporate experience before I dove in and did it myself, because it's really helped me set up my own business for
Mm,
success and help me learn like what I want to do and what I really don't want to replicate.
100%. Yeah, I think you get invaluable insights of how a company operates on the inside when
Yes.
you spend that length of time in corporate. Let's fast forward to give the listeners more context into new perspective consulting. Who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, we can dive into the different offers and services you provide.
Yeah, so I absolutely love working with small and medium businesses. And that's because they are really passionate about their business and they really want to grow. So they see these opportunities that they want to capitalize on, but they may have these roadblocks that are holding them back and they don't necessarily know how to move forward. So I love being able to bring my lean skill set and that operational excellence mindset to these people who may have otherwise not had exposure to that type of skill set, to really help them identify, okay, what's holding them back? What can we do to solve this problem once and for all? And how can we help you achieve growth? That's where I find the most value in my own work. I really love working with those businesses just because, they're wearing so many hats, and that little bit of assistance and kind of organization just really makes all the difference and helps them run their business more smoothly, which is just so
Yeah,
fulfilling.
I love that. So it's mainly the CEOs, the entrepreneurs that own these types of organizations. That's who you're working with. What are the core offerings? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we've actually done a lot of restructuring with our offerings lately. So we have a bunch of different offerings, from small, just introductory engagements, just to help you get a little bit of an assessment of, okay, what's working well and where are you stumbling and what could you do to make things better, all the way through to a really big lean transformation. So that operational excellence transformation, where you're really trying to streamline all of your operations and just getting things flowing and firing on all cylinders. So we have different packages for all of that. And then we have a couple of different offerings that are really honed in on maybe nonprofits or organizations that are really just starting out, just so we can give them a leg up and get them started on the right foot.
Got it. Walk me through what would you say is your main bread and butter? And when I say that, a lot of the consultants that I talk to who have many different offerings, they typically tell me that one of them is responsible for 80% of the business. I'm curious if that's the case with you, and if so, which one would that be?
Yes, definitely the case for me as well. I would say my business definitely succeeds when it comes to the system implementations. So this is where you're seeing organizations want to bring in a new system, whether it's, say, a new claim system or Oracle, for instance. It's a project I'm working on right now. They're bringing in these new systems. They're hoping it's going to streamline their operations, but they have no idea what things are going to look like. So that's where I come in. I've worked with a couple different clients now to first help them understand what is their current process, how are they operating today, and then to understand, okay, what do they want to achieve, and then see if that system is going to bridge the gap for them.
Got it.
Oftentimes, it means I'm also working with the vendor, trying to understand how that product works, how the system works. And then together, we create the actual kind of future state documentation, which is going to become their new current state when they're operating in that new world. So it's really helping them get a better handle on, okay, what does this system implementation look like for me, and how is my job going to change in the future, and how do we make sure that we're getting what we wanted out of that new system that we're investing so heavily in.
Got it. How long, with when it comes to systems implementation, how long are you typically working with a client? Is it a couple months or does it drastically vary?
It is usually a longer engagement. And I think that's really where the higher price point comes, because there's a lot of effort that goes into it. So I would say on average, it's about 6 months that I'm working with them. But then it also depends upon if there are any delays with the vendor, any sort of extensions with that. It tends to create an extension in my contract as well. On
Cool.
average, it's 6 months though.
Got it. Yeah, that's fairly standard, I feel. And I think the longer the engagement, the more value you can provide and the greater the outcome that can be had as a result for the client.
Absolutely.
I'm super curious your perspective on the idea of scalability in consulting and scalability when it comes to a particular fulfillment model. Because it sounds like with these engagements, you're working with them for 6 months. You mentioned there's a lot of effort that goes into it. So I would assume that there's an inherent cap on how many clients you can be bringing on before maybe you start adding employees inside of the organization. So when you think of your current offering, your current business, and you think of the scalability of that, what is your perspective? Are there any shifts that you're thinking about making? Do you feel like you're in a good system right now to be able to scale? Walk me through that.
Yeah, right now we're maxed out because of the
Okay.
projects that we have. So we've definitely hit our cap. And I think that's why we've started to reposition our offerings because we want to get some of the more quick hit contracts, those smaller projects, so we can still bring in more as we have the ebbs and flow in the longer projects. So that was really a strategic remodel that we did more recently, just because we did realize, hang on, we're at capacity, we can't take on any more, but we still wanted to grow. So I think
Yeah,
a lesson learned for me was really defining those offerings up front. I had someone teach me about it's like that analogy you've seen online where you've got a jar full of rocks and then you pour in sand and water and all that.
I
So he was
love that.
telling me about the boulders and the gravel. And so I was like, okay, that makes sense. And he was saying, what you have right now are a bunch of boulder clients. You really can't do anything else. So it's bringing in that gravel, those smaller projects as well, and being open to those to fill those peaks and valleys. So that's really what we've been doing lately to help scale because we want to help more clients. We see the need in the market, especially in today's economy. Everyone could benefit from making their organization more efficient. So that's when
Yeah,
we started to bring those in.
very cool. That's a very interesting perspective. I like that analogy a lot because one thing that we were able to do, because we personally scaled Closers.io, the consulting company, we scaled from 0 to 30 million in 26 months.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was
Congratulations.
ridiculous. It was a lot of learning lessons. Obviously, I'm not the founder, I'm not the CEO, but I'm part of the team. And you learn a lot of things break in that process. And then you fix things as you,
Yeah.
but we also realized that for us, we were still charging the higher ticket in a sense, relatively speaking, and just try to systematize the client engagement process to be able to replicate the founder to so that other people can implement that same thing and take on the clients and do it at a very high level with high client results so that it doesn't really require a lot of the founder's time, but the clients are still getting the same results and is still implemented in a customized manner. So it
Mm-hmm.
was because so it's an interesting perspective you share because we went a different route to achieve the same outcome, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that shows that you guys already had that system mindset in place, right? Because you were like, okay, what is it that the founder's doing? How do we make that repeatable? So kudos.
Yeah.
That's usually what I am hired to do. So I'm
Yeah,
glad you guys were ahead of the curve there.
appreciate that. I'd love to shift a little bit to the back end of the business. When it comes to customer and client acquisition, from a lead gen, and marketing perspective, what are you currently doing on that front?
That has been another work in business, work in progress. So I was very fortunate. So the first 2 years of my business, I was entirely word of mouth referrals, and I was very busy with that too. So I took my foot off the gas a little bit when it came to business development, just because I
Mm,
was so heavily invested in client delivery that it was just really hard to find the time to do marketing and any sort of development there. So more recently, I have pivoted. I had tried to devote more of my time towards the sales and marketing side of things and really just trying to break into new markets and trying to have conversations. And I am the type of person that doesn't like marketing. Don't like marketing. I don't like sales. I just get this feeling in my gut of, oh, I don't want to bother people. But I had to have a mindset switch recently of just sharing, right? It's not selling, it's sharing. It's helping people understand what it is that I do and what that means for them and how I could help them. So it's really been, my marketing efforts have been focused on just having conversations with people and trying to understand, okay, what's bothering you? What's making you stuck in your business? What roadblocks are you hitting? And through that, I've had a lot of really good conversations with people that both, one, refine my service offering, but also two, help them understand when my expertise would come in handy and they can bring me on to help them in their business. So
Yeah.
it's been a slow but steady journey to try to break out of that referral market, but it is going well. And phrasing it as conversations based sales just feels a lot better to me than
Yeah.
trying to be that used car salesman and get
Yeah.
people to buy my products.
100%, especially because it's a different type of sale. And in a lot of ways, you're selling transformation. Do you find it difficult to balance sales, marketing with client fulfillment and all the other hats you have to wear?
Very difficult, very difficult. I had at one point thought about bringing in some marketing help and hiring a fractional CMO. I decided not to right away because I really wanted to do a lot of work on those service offerings. I felt like that needed to come first. I needed to better define the different offerings that I had so then I could bring someone in to take the marketing. I am currently still having conversations to just try to find the right fit because it's tough. I'm so heavily invested in the client delivery, and marketing is not my strength, that I do think there's something to be said about finding people who have the strengths that are your weaknesses and bringing them in to help you out.
100%. You mentioned it's a work in progress. I'm curious, what channels are you using right now?
Right now, it's very heavily LinkedIn. I
Got it.
am finding that I get responses much better with LinkedIn. I've done a lot of cold email outbound that went nowhere. I'm probably getting in the spam folder perhaps because I just never get any sort of responses there.
Are
But
you warming up your domains?
I'm trying, yes,
Okay, got it.
trying.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
But again, it's not my expertise. So I'm just trial and error in the spirit of continuous improvement. But with LinkedIn, it just feels like you can actually create that personalized connection. You can have those conversations if they've read it, right? And also leveraging some of the groups on LinkedIn to just find more ideal clients that you otherwise maybe wouldn't have found. So LinkedIn has been pretty successful for me.
Cool. So it sounds like you're doing the marketing. Are you also running the sales calls or the initial conversations?
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
What does that process look like? So let's say somebody responds to your message on LinkedIn. What are the different steps in the process for them to actually become a client?
Yeah, so usually what happens is we have a couple of back and forth conversations. I want to get to know them. I want to get to know their business. I want to see if I would be a good fit, right? If they're even looking for any sort of efficiency help. I offer a free discovery call where I just want to, again, take it to the next level, get to know their business better, get to understand, okay, what is it that you're working on? What is it that you're struggling with? And then help them understand what it is that I do face to face, right? Because people can interpret things much differently when they're reading it online versus when you're actually telling them, giving them examples. I usually also send them some of my client testimonials just so they can get a feel for how I work and what it is that I do. And then from there, it's delivering them the different packages that I think would work best for them. So sometimes there's no need to give them my higher end ticket because it's just not in the cards for them. So it's just being able to assess through that discovery call what service offering makes the most sense, sending it to them so they can get a better idea. And then from there, we can book and move forward.
Got it.
Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it takes just a couple of conversations. But I
Yeah.
recently had a client reach out that I have been having conversations since 2022. So the beginning of my business. And now finally it looks like we're going to be able to close
Yeah.
on a big project. So
Yeah.
it takes a while sometimes.
Yeah. Follow up is part of the game. I saw a
Absolutely.
message in our sales channel yesterday where somebody posted a sale and it was a 10-month follow up. So
I
it's like
believe it.
you gotta, but then you also have the one call closes. So having both is nice.
Yes.
When it comes to your vision and where you want to take the company, let's say over the next 12 months, are there any general revenue targets that you're aiming towards, performance targets? Walk me through your goals at a high level.
I think for me, it's really just building that pipeline and being able to help more people. I've been very fortunate. I was able to, replace my corporate income in less than 2 years. So that was wonderful. I want to continue on that trajectory. But really, for me, it's impact. It's being able to reach more clients, help more people, especially those small business owners that they're just so passionate about what they do. I want to help them do it better, right? I want to take my skill set and really let them leverage it so they can deliver what it is their expertise is more efficiently. So it's all about impact. And so that's really where I've been, again, I keep harping on it, but the different service offerings and growing those, marketing those out and seeing more clients coming in the door for those packages.
What do you feel like is the biggest challenge you're facing to making that happen?
Honestly, it's time, right? It's so hard to have the client delivery be at the center of everything and then still find the time for marketing and the discovery calls and
Yes.
marketing efforts, things like that. So if I could find a way, I got to bring in some more people to help support some of these client projects and be willing to hand it over so that I can free up my time.
Yeah. I get it. It's your baby, but
Yeah, sure. It's my second born. Yes.
fair enough. There you go. What advice would you give to new consultants that are looking to start their own companies in 2025?
One is don't give up. It's a wild ride, but if you have a vision and you have a passion for something, do it and don't give up. But two is surround yourself with people who have done it before. I think too often folks, they have an idea, they want to move forward with it, but they're doing what I'm doing, right? Where they're taking it all on by themselves. But I think the key is find people who have done this before and leverage their lessons learned. Like I've been working with a business coach finally in 2025. It took 3 years, but I was like, all right, let me practice what I preach and bring someone on to help me, right? Because if I'm unwilling to do that, then why would someone be willing to hire me? So I really had to model that behavior of what I talk about all the time. Surrounding yourself, even if it's just networking opportunities or networking groups, finding fellow entrepreneurs who are willing to share their stories, listening to podcasts like yours, right? Gleaning all the tidbits and the knowledge from those who have done it already is extremely helpful. And then just knowing that you're going to have peaks and valleys, but as long as you have that vision, you have that big why, and you keep it at the forefront of everything that you're doing, you will be able to do it. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the point about you have to be willing to invest in yourself to expect others to do the same.
Yes,
And we didn't really touch upon this at all, but I'm a very big believer in the energy that you send out in the universe. So the thoughts that you have, the emotions that you're feeling should be in alignment to your desired reality. And your actions should be in your alignment to your desired reality. One phrase I love, I learned this from a mentor, is show up how you want your prospects to show up. So you,
100%.
you would always use the example of if you want your prospects to be able to make quick decisions, to pay on time, to pay in full, to do all those different things, then when you're in those situations as the prospect, you should do that and do it as fast as possible. And he would even gamify it. I will be the fastest person to ever buy something. In terms of if somebody sends me a payment link, within 30 seconds, I'm paying it. Boom. No back and forth. Because I really do believe that energy attracts people of that similar caliber. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that's a huge thing. Like you have to really work on your mindset. Because if you're going into it and you're like, I don't know if I can do this, and this is so hard, and why me? You're going to attract that, right? So you really have to, it's true. Whatever you focus on becomes your reality. So if you're focusing on the negative, it's not going to be a great turnout, right? Just think about that big why, what it is you want to achieve, and believe that you can do it. Because as long as you keep that at the forefront, you will be able to. I agree.
love For the people that want to work with you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, I would say my website is the best way. So I've got all my contact information on there. You can book a free discovery call. I would love to chat more. And I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can find me under New Perspective Consulting or Nicole West. I like to share kind of my entrepreneurial journey on my personal page. and then just reach out there. Would love to chat.
Awesome. Nicole, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. This was fun.
Anytime. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go to New Perspective Consulting LLC.com. And you can follow Nicole West, connect with her on LinkedIn. Also tag it around here, so it should be pretty easy to find, but it's also just Nicole West. So that's pretty easy. And if you are a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.